So hello and welcome. We are looking at an example now where you have to actually determine the value of Sn, right? Remember, you have to determine the value, not of Sn, but rather of n. I haven't slept in 2 days. But nevertheless, determine the value of n if you're given the value of the summation, right? So the question reads, how many terms of the sequence 34, 40, 46, dot, 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 remember it continues, and we want to know how many of these terms, if they continue in this pattern, must I add to give me a result of 1530. So this is fairly easy. Again, it's just direct application of the summation formula, and the rest is algebra, right? It's not even really worthy of a video in its own right. All I need to do is tell you the rest is algebra. But nevertheless, I'm going to do it with you. So I've got 34 over here, right? And 34 is the value of A. And then I've got, so obviously that's my first term. And then I've got D, which I can clearly see because this is an arithmetic sequence. If I go 34 to 40, I'm adding 6. And if I go from 40 to 46, I'm adding 6 again. So A is equal to 34, and D, I can read from there, is equal to 6. Right. Now, if I look at the summation formula, the formula is Sn is equal to n over 2 into 2a plus n minus 1 multiplied by d. Now if you look at this, what are we given? We are actually given this value over here. 1530 is the value of Sn. 34 is A and D is 6. So already I can see I've got D, I've got A, and I've got Sn. And the only unknown in my equation is N. So clearly I can see over here I've got one equation with simply one unknown. In this particular case, I can immediately go in and substitute the values because it's a trivial example. So Sn's value is 1530 is equal to n over 2. Now this is exactly the same as saying a half times n, right? Multiplied by 2 times 34 plus n minus 1, which remains n minus 1, multiplied by the difference, which is 6. Okay, so let's multiply things from here. I'm going to leave this as 1530. I'm going to leave this as n over 2 for now, or I'm going to make it a half times n. And then 2 times 34 is 68, plus 6 times n minus 6, right? And so far, let's look at that. Now, I can either multiply both sides by 2, or I can clearly see that all of these things over here, they can these are even numbers, so I can take the half and multiply it in over there. So I'm going to do that instead, right? I'm going to take the half and multiply that in. So I'm going to put 1530 over here. Then I'm going to leave my n on the outside. I'm going to take the half and multiply it by this, multiply a half by that, and multiply a half by that. And that's going to give me, again, just 34. Right? And that's going to give me plus 3n, and that's going to give me minus 3. Okay. At this point in time, I'm still going to leave the 1530 on this side, and I hope from here you can start seeing where we're going, right? From here on, the rest should be trivial. Really, in fact, from the first step, it should have been substitution, the rest is algebra. That's fairly straightforward. But anyway, let's multiply this n now into it, and we're going to get something like 34n. Plus 3n squared minus 3n. Right. At this point in time, I can just take this entire thing now and start organizing it into 3n squared, right, minus, sorry, is that, my word, minus 3n, that's 31n, right? So it's going to give me positive 31n, right? And then if I equate this thing to 0, you should pause the video and see what I'm doing here if you don't get it immediately. It's like bringing this 1530 to the other side gives me 1530 negative. At this point in time, we can simply factorize, and you can do this either using the quadratic formula or you can do it on a calculator. And I'm going to open up 2 brackets, and you should come out to the following factors. So I'm going to put 3, and remember, I'm not going to show you how to do this part over here because, like I said, you can do it using the calculator. or you can use the quadratic formula, or you can just play around with the factors and see what you get, right? And the reason I'm not showing you how to do that is because we tackle that in one of the other videos. So 3n and n, 85 and 18. So 85 times 18 gives me 1,530. Let's just check that. 18 times 85. Yeah, 1,530 is correct. And that's a plus, and that's a minus. So when we solve for n over here, we can say, therefore, we get the value of n is equal to negative 85 over 3, or n is equal to 18, right? So one of these two values. So the correct value is actually n is equal to 18, because n is not equal to negative 85 over 3. And the reason for this is because n is an element of the, what am I writing there? Of the natural numbers. N represents position. So you don't get a negative 85 over 3 position, or you came 1 3/4 in the class. You either come first, second, third, fourth. It's what we call ordinal numbers. So n is an element of the natural numbers. It represents the position of the term or the number of terms, and you don't go out counting people in halves, right? You say this is one person, that's another person, that's the third person, that's the fourth person. So exactly the same thing happens over here. So therefore, 18 terms of this sequence, if it has to continue, will add up to 1,530. Okay, good luck.